Joe Rogan's been having on heterodox thinkers when it comes to COVID, and that includes Dr. Robert Malone, who's one of the guys who invented the mRNA technology, and he's anti-vax now. And that episode got pulled from YouTube, and 240 doctors, or allegedly, most of them were doctors, I'm not sure, I've seen some questioning, wrote a letter to Spotify saying you have to pull Joe Rogan's, please stop him from his misinformation, please. And Neil Young, out of left field comes Neil Young, the singer, who says, Spotify, you have to choose. You choose between me and Joe Rogan. Because if you're going to leave him on the air, you have to pull all my music. So Spotify, of course, pulled Neil Young's music. And now there's some guy who's a producer for The Big Bang Theory who's trying to make this a bigger thing, tagging tons of artists, Taylor Swift, you name it. It's like all the names in music, saying you should follow suit. Everyone should be cracking down on Spotify. Pull your music or make them pull Joe Rogan. What do you make of it?
Yeah, well, first of all, I love that. That Neil Young story is one of my favorite stories of the new year. Just the one of all the guys to try to pull that move. I mean, I don't think anyone can really pull it because Joe Rogan is the most valuable asset that Spotify has. But for Neil Young to try, it's like I said, it's like if I went, I'm at the Daily Wire. If I went into the offices here and said, hey, guess what, Daily Wire, it's either me or Ben Shapiro. Who are you going to choose? They're going to have to think very hard about it. They're going to say, oh, we'll take Ben then. Okay, well, never mind. Forget I said anything. I'll go back to work. But it blows my mind, really, that we're doing this with Joe Rogan. I mean, when did Joe Rogan become this right-wing extremist? He's not even, I'm not sure how he exactly would identify himself on the ideological spectrum, but I don't think he calls himself conservative, and I certainly wouldn't call him that.
No, he was a Bernie guy.
Yeah, he's basically on the left, but the only difference is that he's willing to talk about things, and very often it's interesting that the things that get him in trouble. Sometimes it's what he says, but a lot of times it's just what other people say to him. It's the fact that he's allowing people onto his show and he's letting them speak and he's engaging with them. That is what has turned him into not.
But
he's
just successful,
that
he's wrong, Matt. But he's got a big platform. But he's successful. That's when he became problematic to people like Neil Young. People are actually listening to Joe Rogan. He's got tens of millions of followers. Well, 10 million. I don't know what it is, but he's got millions. And yet, despite the fact that he comes out and says, don't listen to me. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. He says that. People do listen to his guests. They do listen to him. He has a huge platform. So does he have a higher sense of responsibility?
Well, I think it depends on what we mean by responsibility. I think your responsibility, if you're doing a show, it depends on how your show is. But if you're doing an interview show, then your responsibility is to bring people on and interview them and let them speak. I think that's the best thing that you can do, is to just expose people to different kinds of interesting ideas. And that's what I like about Joe Rogan. It's not even really the political stuff necessarily, but he'll bring people on to talk about all kinds of different things. I think that's what's made Joe Rogan Joe Rogan. That's why people like him, is because they're going to be exposed to all kinds of different ideas. And so I think he's very much fulfilling his responsibility in that regard. He
doesn't hold himself out as a journalist. If you're looking for journalism where you then confront the person with facts that contradict what they're saying, or et cetera, you don't go to Joe Rogan. You shouldn't go to Joe Rogan. Same as you shouldn't go to Jon Stewart, who was a comedian and wasn't in the business of truth telling either. But unlike Joe Rogan, he wanted people to believe he was. Only when he got in trouble would he be like, I'm a comedian, I follow a clown. So it's kind of the opposite. Joe Rogan's out there saying, don't listen to me. Do not listen to me. I'm like a talk show host. I'm having fun. I'm very popular, but I'm not a journalist. And yet the media continues to treat him as if he is. They want him to behave like Walter Cronkite. And he keeps saying, that's not my business. Anyway, we'll see whether any of these other musicians listens to the guy from The Big Bang Theory.